All right, tariffs. It's been a wild ride. Hi, my name is Janine Rogan, and I'm a financial educator, money expert, and best-selling author of the book, The Pink Tax. I'm the CEO of the Wealth Building Academy, which educates and empowers women to invest and build their wealth. And welcome back to my YouTube channel. So 2025 has been a wild ride so far. I don't think any of us saw this happening when Trump got elected. And hopefully saying that word doesn't get me banned to the US. But there has been so much volatility in the stock market, and I think so much volatility in our personal lives just generally. So I want to talk about today what we can actually do about the tariffs and potentially a looming recession here in Canada. So just to backtrack a little bit, Trump got in at the end of November 2024, beginning of November, and he was inaugurated in January, and it's been about 100 days since he has been in office and has kind of decided to declare economic war on pretty much every country around the world. What he's done is implemented a lot of tariffs on countries that I guess they had free trade or trading agreements with the US prior to kind of him doing these things. What that means for Canada is he has implemented a number of different tariffs on a number of different industries that impact lots of different areas of Canada. And that just means that for us to export our goods into the US, it's going to be more expensive for US individuals to buy or US businesses to buy our goods. And that's another term that I wanted to talk about here quickly today is a trade deficit, because this has been thrown around in the media a lot. And all a trade deficit means is that you are actually importing more than you're exporting. So for a country that is as big as the US, this makes sense. Of course, they're going to import more than they're exporting to smaller countries, because as Canadians, we're 1/10 of the size. We're never going to import from the US as much as we export to them, just because of the volume of people down there. So this has had a huge impact on the stock market. We have unfortunately seen a ton of volatility where we've seen the stock market go up like crazy and then back down like 10% in as little as an hour, which is kind of crazy if you think about it. We haven't seen jumps like that in a very long time, and quite frankly, the last time we saw a huge drop like this was in 2020 when the COVID pandemic was hitting. So there's been a lot of talk about a looming recession, lower GDP growth for Canada, and the impact that it will have on Canadian businesses, specifically businesses that export a lot of goods to the US. But one thing I want to remind people is that this is a temporary blip in time. When we actually zoom out, we can see that the stock market and the financial markets have been around for a lot longer than he has been president. And when I say that this is a blip, I know it feels like a long period of time, 4 years in office, but we have to remember that we are investing in the stock market for the long term. And when I say the long term, I mean 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, sometimes even 70 years, because we are not just stopping investing in the stock market when we hit 65. We're going to be investing into our 70s and 80s to continue to grow our wealth and our portfolio while we're in retirement. We might just change the allocation of what we're invested in. So this is your reminder that this is a blip, and this is just a period of time in your investing lifespan. So don't panic too much, and please, please, please do not pull your money out of the market. But I think that this also brings up a good point, which is, how much money should you have in cash? And if you're new here, I've talked about this a lot, but our emergency funds should be liquid. And what that means is we should be able to access them quickly. So what we don't want is our emergency fund invested in the stock market. Something like this happens, an emergency occurs, and we need to get that money, but our investments are down. We want that cash easily accessible, which is why I recommend putting it into a high interest savings account, usually within a different financial institution than where you currently bank. Try to find something that is high interest. EQ Bank offers many high interest rates. This is not sponsored by them, it's just who I use for my emergency fund. And you can automate your contributions to that emergency fund so that you don't actually have to think about it. And you can start with as little as $25. You don't need to, again, wait until you can contribute $1,000. Anyways, we want our emergency fund to be liquid. We don't want it invested in the stock market. That being said, in our portfolio, if we need access to the money that we're investing in the short term, and when I say short term, again, we're thinking about the investing lifespan. We're talking in the next couple of years. So if it's in the next 1 to 4 years, I would recommend that money either be in a low risk investment or in cash. So the example I'll use is an RESP. If your child is getting close to needing to pay for that first year of university, maybe they're 14 or 15, it would be wise to make sure that the money you're going to need to pay for that first year of education is in cash. And yes, you might not get the highest rate of return, but you also know that you'll have access to this money and it will be there when you need to pay for that big ticket item. So this is a really great opportunity to sit down and look at your finances and think about whether or not you're going to need access to these funds. So again, if you're investing in a first-time home savings account and you know that you're going to buy a home within the next year, obviously maybe not right now, but moving money into cash so that you have that money in your account for when you need that down payment in the next 6 to 12 months is going to be important. So now is a great time to check in on your finances, make sure everything is in alignment with your goals, check when you're actually going to need access to certain amounts of money, and let's make sure that those aren't in high risk investments and aren't going to be subject to the ups and the downs of the market in the kind of shorter term. But keeping that long-term investing mindset for the rest of your funds. So if you're investing for retirement, yes, you absolutely should be invested in equities and you should be growing your long-term wealth. I also want to give you permission that if the stock market is stressing you out right now and the notifications of the up 10%, down 10% is causing you anxiety, it's okay to not look at your investment portfolio. If you've set up a well-diversified portfolio and you know that you're invested in multiple different countries and industries and companies around the globe, and you are happy with how your portfolio is set up and you've looked to rebalance your portfolio on an annual or semi-annual basis, it's okay to close the browser. You don't need to know the ups and the downs of the market every single day. We're not day traders. Investing should be boring and you should be able to live your life and not worry about what the market is doing, because you know that you've created that portfolio that is going to grow in the long term. Remember, the stock market earns on average 10% per year. So here's your permission slip to close the browser. You don't need to look at it every single day, but you do need to make sure that you're still investing in the market, because time in the market is more important than timing the market. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. We are so close to hitting 1,000 subscribers, and I will be back next week with another video.